Hollywood giant Warner Bros. Discovery has rejected a revised hostile takeover offer from rival Paramount Skydance, giving it a 7-day window to table a best and final bid after turning down an about $30 per share proposal. The board says the offer still falls short of the $82.7 billion streaming and studio sale agreement it currently favors with Netflix, highlighting ongoing uncertainty in global media consolidation. To unpack this, I am joined by Uchechukwu Okoro, founder and creative lead, Modọk Incorporated. Thank you so much, Uche, for joining me today.
It's nice to join, and thank you so much.
All right, so what do you make of the latest rejection of Paramount's $30 per share bid?
So when you look at the bid that has been ongoing since December, it's a dilemma a dog owner would ultimately face when they are trying to sell their dogs to either a Caucasian family or a man from Akwa Ibom. The question is, what are they going to do with this essentially? When you look at the people backing up the Paramount bid, you have Donald Trump, you have Jared Kushner, you have the Saudi fund, you have the Red Star properties, and then you have a host of other people who would want to get on the bid. And when you look at it, Netflix is just asking for access to the studio and the streaming assets. But then Paramount is saying, we want everything for $107 billion. And Netflix, on the other hand, is saying, oh, we just want these two assets for $82.5 billion, I believe. So when you look at it, it's about the history they have. Okay, when you eventually acquire the whole company, what happens to the cable networks? We understand that Donald Trump has been very vocal about not being in good terms with CNN. Would that be spun off? Would that be sold? Will it be silenced? It's just a lot of things Warner Bros. Is looking at before they can green light and okay the deal. And when you look at the Ellison family as well, they have a long history of hostile takeover. I'll take you back to 1985 when, what's his name, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple. 1997, Apple was in a debt, and he turned to Larry Ellison, who happens to be the father to Paramount CEO's boss. And then he said, okay, I'm going to plan a hostile takeover to take over, what's it called, Apple, and then it reinstate you back. The plan was already at the stage of maturity when Steve Jobs looked at it and said, no, this isn't how I want to get in. This is not how I want to get back on Apple. I just want to get in because they need my help. And then he got in. So the Ellison family, they've been known for hostile takeovers like this. It's not the first time, and it's definitely not going to be the last. So the apple, they say, does not fall far from the tree. And that's exactly what we are experiencing now. And then the reason Warner Bros. Discovery is holding back is they really do not know what these people are going to do with this company, given the number of people who have interest in the deal.
That's quite interesting. But of course, as we already know, Paramount has 7 days to submit a best and final offer, to top an existing agreement to sell this business to Netflix. Now, talk to us. Do you think, the Hollywood studio will be able to pull this off successfully in the next 7 days? What do you think will happen? Are they going to make a better offer? I mean, we're hearing $31 per share. Do you think that would scale through?
I'm really, even if they make that offer, I'm not sure Warner Bros. Discovery would pull through with that deal, because of course they are all in this to make money. They just want profits. They need to make money off this. And when you look at the margin, they are almost close as to regards to what Netflix wants, in contrast with what Paramount wants at the same time. What would then happen is if Netflix eventually gets to win the bid, what essentially we'll be saying is, oh, Netflix having access to the studio and streaming assets, and Warner Bros. Still holding their rights to the cable networks, and it's now up to them if they want to put that up for sale to certain people who they know can actually handle and take care of it, essentially. Because when we look at it, the bigger picture, this is their baby, and they want the best for it, even though they are at a time where they're really not financially capable of handling the company. So I'm not sure that would pull through. They have 7 days, but I'm really not sure Paramount would be ready to put in more money, except and unless they have more people interested in the deal, which would essentially pull what's it called, Warner Bros. Back again, because yeah, we really don't know what the intent is when these people eventually get a hold of this company. But for Netflix, it's very clear. We just want a streaming service. We are a streaming platform. We want to expand it. There's no monopolization of the market. What would just happen is that the stakes would now become higher for independent creatives who are looking to get into the filmmaking space. And I mean, the question now is, what does this mean for the African creative economy? Even though we are spectators at this time, but I'm definitely sure that Paramount might not, they have 7 days, but I'm not sure they're really going to put in more effort to add more percentage to what they are offering or more money to what they had already offered.
All right, I like how you keep talking about intent. We would come to that. And apart from intent, which you're really big on, there is also the talk about financing concerns. We'll come to that after this timeout. Please stay with us, Uche. Thank you for staying with us. Uchechukwu, thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so before we went on that timeout, we're talking about intent, which I see you're very big on. Maybe you could share a thought or two on that particular one. I mean, what could be the worst that will ever happen if Paramount takes over? And then we also understand the fact that Paramount wants the whole. But when you look at Netflix, Netflix wants just some portion, and for $82 billion compared to $108 billion that Paramount wants to put down to take the whole of the company. But then I want us to look at something I think is very important, which is the financing concerns that have sort of clouded Paramount's proposal. Now, how serious are the financing risks in Paramount's proposal, given unresolved issues about who would pay the $1.5 billion junior lien fee? That's on the one hand. And then what happens if debt funding, falls through? These are some of the questions that we're looking at.
Yeah, it's just like we have the government put a toll on a particular road because they couldn't essentially pay for it. That's exactly what would happen once this goes through for Paramount. It's a lot of money, right? Even though some of those monies they had offered them in cash, but what would happen is the financing aspect of it, they're going to monopolize the markets, which is essentially what creatives are afraid of. Once they monopolize this market, it's just going to be a total wash of nepotism happening all the way. The stakes are going to be higher, number one, and then the creatives are going to pay dearly for it, even though it's backed by the Bank of America and then by the Saudi fund and all of that. And if eventually, what's their name, Netflix, if the deal doesn't go the Netflix route, they get to pay about $2 billion and all of that. The truth of the matter is, once all of this deal is done and concluded, the people left to pay the price will be the creatives, independent filmmakers, and people who are going to the cinemas, cable networks. There's just going to be a hike on a lot of things. And for Africa, it's going to be a lot difficult to get in. And whilst we're still on the sides watching and contemplating and thinking, oh, once this goes through, it just means we have all our content and all our production concentrated on one particular channel and source and resource. We're just seeing if that's our thoughts, then we're seeing the possibility of that happening through the eyes of Stevie Wonder, and that's just what it is. It's just going to be a hike on a lot of things, and once it pulls through, creatives will be left to actually be the ones to pay for all of this, all of the monies that it's gone through the whole deal.
All right, so if I get you correctly, I mean, you are a pro Netflix, right? That's what it looks like.
No. I'm pro what works and who doesn't monopolize the market. end of the day.
All right, so that tells me that's the way you're viewing all this. Thank you so much, Uchechukwu Okoro, founder and creative lead, Modọk Inc. It's been nice speaking with you.